Welcome everyone to the Denver Yoga Club, a 45-minute Vinyasa practice. Obviously, we're in the studio today and not in the park, and that's because it's snowing and probably like 30 degrees outside. So those are conditions which even I wouldn't brave to do yoga. It's just a little bit too chilly. But let's make the most of what we have and enjoy our practice. Find a nice seated posture on your mat. And then once you're there, feel your sitting bones as they rest on the mat. So feel that gentle pressure on the sitting bones. And then let your eyes close down and begin to draw the breath in. See if you can begin the practice by lengthening your breath to 5 or 6 or even 7 counts, but do it without straining. And then once you've inhaled, feel the breath turn in the body and become an exhale. And then the same number of counts on the exhale. So even count, inhale and exhale. We're going to take about 5 breaths that way. Just noticing the breath, focusing on how it's flowing in and out of your body today. And about 4 more. And 3 more. And a couple more times through. And one more nice, long, deep breath. And let the breath go. Now we're going to practice alternate nostril breathing. You can bring your hands to your knees, palms facing down, straighten the elbows if you're able, so you're sitting up nice and tall. Pull the shoulders back a little bit. Your gaze is straight forward. And as most of you know, I often teach this alternate nostril breathing practice without mechanical blockage with the thumb and the 4th finger of the nostrils. But if you want to do that, then bring these 2 fingers to the forehead, right to eyebrow center, and the 4th finger to the left nostril, and the thumb towards the right nostril. Now breathe in through the left nostril, and then exhale to the right, and then breathe in through the right, and then exhale to the left. Now inhale from the left, blocking the right if you want to, if you're doing that. And then exhale to the right, blocking the left nostril. And then inhale from the right, and then block the right nostril. If you're doing that, exhaling to the left. 5 more times now. Breathing in from the left and out to the right. And then breathing from the right and off to the left. Take a moment as you continue this practice called Nadi Shodhana to really feel the breath moving from one side to the other. Feel the depth of the breath, both on the inhale and the exhale. And about 4 more times through. Alternate nostril breathing can be incredibly centering. And 2 more cycles. Good job. 1 more. then just let it go. Let your breath return to its normal rhythm. You can let your eyes gently open. Relax the shoulders a little bit. Maybe lift them up towards the ears and then back down. Just try and dissipate any tension that you feel in the back of the neck and the upper part of the spine. Now look to your left and then to the right, and then again to the left and back to the right. Back to center, lift the chin up and bring the chin towards the chest. And do that again, lift the chin up and then bring it towards the chest. Let the chin level now, and then left ear towards left shoulder. Let your chin come to your chest, and then the right ear towards the right shoulder. Lift the chin up, look up, and then left ear towards left shoulder, chin to chest. Right ear to right shoulder, lift the chin up. And left ear towards left shoulder, chin to chest. Pause now. And then on an inhale, lift the chin up high. Press the chin towards the sky. And then bring the chin towards the chest. Now draw your navel in. Press the palms into the knees. Draw your navel in and bring your forehead down towards the mat. On an inhale, slowly rise. And then let your arms float up and overhead. Cactus the elbows so the palms face forward. Now pull the elbows back a little bit. Take a deep breath. And then lift the chin up high. And then as you exhale, level the chin. Bring the arms out to a T. Take a twist to the right. Very gentle one. Staying grounded in the sitting bones. Breathe in. And then exhale and back to center. Once you're there, let your arms float up and overhead again. Bring the palms together. Interlace the fingers. And then press the palms up towards the sky. Draw your navel in again so you're not rounding the lower back too much, or arching rather. The lower back, the lumbar spine. Press up through the palms a little bit more and then release the hands. Bring them out to a T and take your twist to the left. Bring the right hand to the left knee. Stay grounded in both sitting bones. Pull your left shoulder back just a bit, not too much. Draw the navel in and then back to center. Now go over to the other side and press the right hand down into the mat behind you. Reach the left hand up and then look up towards the thumb on the left hand. Press your right palm down. Reach up through the left hand a little bit more. And then bring the left hand down and take your twist to the other side. Bring the left hand down behind you. Plant that left palm and reach the right hand up. And look up towards the thumb on the right hand while you're pressing the left palm into the mat. Reach up a little bit higher. And then let that right hand come down. Bring the hands back to the knees. Begin to bend the elbows. Draw your navel in as you bring your chin to your chest and your forehead down towards the mat. Maybe touching the forehead with the mat, or touching the mat rather with the forehead. And inhale and rise back up. Let your arms float high and then bring the hands behind you. I'm going to turn to the side, interlace the fingers, and straighten your elbows. Now, I'm able to touch the skin of my palms together. Maybe you can do that, maybe you can't. Lift your gaze up so you're looking straight forward, and then press the knuckles towards the back of the mat, moving the knuckles back just a little bit, maybe a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch. Take a deep breath. And then as you exhale, slowly hinge at the hips, begin to fold forward, and let your knuckles come up and overhead, creating a nice stretch in the top of the shoulders. Maybe your forehead or your nose comes all the way down to the mat. On an inhale, slowly rise up. Keep the spine long as you come up. And then release the hands, bring them down behind you. Press the palms into the mat. Your fingers are pointing straight back towards the back of your mat. On an inhale, lift your chin. Press your chest up towards the sky. Take a deep breath. And let the breath go. Do that again, a deep breath in. Draw the shoulder blades a little closer together. And exhale, let the breath go. Now slowly lean forward so you feel the weight come off the hands. Let your arms float up and overhead. And then exhale and bring your hands to heart center. Take a breath. Now interlace the fingers, bring the hands to the back of the head. And then bring the right elbow down towards that right knee. Reach the left elbow up. Keep going, bringing the right elbow down a little bit more, reaching the left elbow up just a little bit higher. So stretch up through that left elbow. Now maybe you can bring your right elbow down to the right knee and reach up a little bit higher with the left elbow. And then slowly rise back up. Notice your core engages deeply as you come up. And now bring the left elbow down towards the mat. Reach the right elbow high. We're just going to do the same thing on the other side. Reach up through the right elbow a little more. Pull the left elbow down just a little bit more. And maybe you can eventually bring that left elbow down to the knee and reach the right elbow high. And then on an inhale, engage the core as you come back up. Now lift the chin up. Press the hands into the back of the head. Press the chest towards the sky. And then release the hands. Palms together. Keep reaching through the fingertips. Elbows are straight. Keep reaching through the fingertips as we bring the hands down towards the mat. And then let the arms reach up and overhead. And we're just going to circle the arms a couple of times now. And then back the other way. Now reach both arms out. Make gentle fists and just rotate the hands at the wrists. A couple times around, then maybe back the other direction. Just notice how that feels, activating all those muscles. The muscles actually that you're activating run all the way up the forearm and all the way up even into the shoulder. And that's it. Release the hands up and bring them down in front of you, and now come over your knees, coming to table pose. Take a moment to get settled in table pose. And then if your belly is dropped down like that, lift it up. So lifting the navel up towards the spine until you feel like your back is pretty straight. Now reach your head forward, press your tailbone back. This is an isometric movement. Isometric means that there isn't any real movement in the body. It doesn't really change position. We're just pulling the muscles, stretching a little bit. So press your tailbone back again. Reach your head forward so you feel just the slightest little stretch in the neck and also in the lower back. Now inhale to cow pose and let your belly drop down. Lift your chin up. And then exhale slowly into cat pose, pressing your hands into the mat. Draw your navel up. Let the forehead come down towards the knees a little bit more. And then inhale to cow pose. And exhale into cat pose. You can begin to deepen your breath so that you can actually hear yourself breathing. Breathing into cow. And then breathing out to cat. And twice more. Inhaling to cow pose. And exhaling to cat pose. And then come back to table pose. Back to a neutral spine. Now pick your left knee up. And then straighten the left leg. Press back through the left heel. Now rotate the toes on the left foot so your toes point to the left. You don't need to look back at the foot, although I know that we have a tendency to want to do that. Keep pressing your hands into the mat, spreading the fingers nice and wide. Keep pressing through the heel so you feel that tension in the leg. Now begin to bend the knee and you'll feel that tension release. Bring the knee forward. Keep the knee as high as you can and maybe touch the right or left shoulder with the left knee. Press back through the left heel. And let's do that twice more. Bring the knee forward, maybe touching the shoulder. Keep the knee as high as you can and then press straight back. And we're going to do that one more time, bringing the knee forward and then pressing it straight back. And then rotate the toes so they point down. And then bend the left knee and bring it forward, touching your chin. Press your hands into the mat, spine rounds. Press back through the toes of the left foot, lengthening the leg, stretching out that left hip. And then bring the left knee forward again. Maybe this time you can touch your nose with your knee. And then press straight back. And last one, this time maybe the forehead touches the knee or the knee touches the forehead and press straight back. Now bring that left knee down and let's go to the other side. Pick the right knee up and then straighten the right leg. Press back through the right heel so the toes on the right foot point to the right. One more breath. Now bring that right knee forward, second time, or first time actually, maybe touching that right shoulder with the knee and then press straight back. We're going to do that twice more on this side. Bend the knee, keep it high as you bring the knee forward, and then press straight back. And last one, bringing that right knee forward, and then press straight back. Once you're there, press through the heel, and then rotate the toes on the right foot so they point straight down. Your gaze is down as well, right below the face. Now point the toes and reach through the toes of that right foot, really stretching it out. Now bend the right knee and bring it forward, touching the chin, and then press straight back through the big toe of the right foot. Bring the knee forward again, maybe touching the nose, and then press straight back. And now bring the knee forward the last time, maybe touching the forehead, and then press straight back, and then bring your right knee down so it meets the left knee. Now inhale to cow pose, second time, or second series, and exhale to cat. And again, inhale to cow, and exhale to cat. And one more time, inhaling to cow pose, and exhaling to cat. And then come back to a neutral spine. Walk your hands forward. About 6 inches is all, so the hands are pretty well forward of the shoulders. And check in with your hips. See if your hips are still pretty much right over your knees. So I don't want you like this. I don't want your hips way forward of the knees. I also don't really want your back like that, so your hips are way behind the knees. Just do your best to keep the hips right over the knees, but the hands forward. Now draw your navel up, and then press the tailbone towards your heels, keeping your spine nice and long, maybe feeling a stretch in the back as you do that, and the shoulders. On an inhale, lift the navel up, lifting it towards the spine, glide the hips forward and then down, and then press the pubic bone down towards the mat. Elbows are straight, heart and navel pressing forward, gaze is forward. Now draw the navel up, moving nice and slow, very fluid movement. Press the tailbone back towards the heels again. Feel the stretch. Now draw the navel up. We're just going to do the same thing. Gliding forward. Drop the navel down. Press the pubic bone down. Press the heart forward. And then one more time. Pressing back towards child's pose, but keep the knees where they are. They don't need to come apart. And then rise back through table pose. And now from here, come back towards table pose and then tuck your toes and lift your hips. And let's find our very first downward facing dog. You may need to adjust your position, maybe moving your feet forward or back, or the hands forward and back, forward or back, until you find the position that feels right for you in downward facing dog. Now inhale and lift the right leg up, not too high. And then step the right foot forward so it comes between the hands. This is a low crescent lunge. This is a runner's lunge. And then step the right foot forward. I forgot what I was doing. Let your head drop down. Standing forward fold. Nice stretch in the back of the legs and the gluteal muscles. Let your head get heavy. And don't be afraid to walk your hands forward a little bit and bend the elbows so you're not holding your shoulders up with straight arms. Let your forehead come a little bit closer to the knees or the shins, and let your head drop down even more. Now keep your chin on your chest and round your spine as you rise. Remember to draw the navel up towards the spine. That'll help you round it. Then let your arms float high, and exhale and bring the hands to heart center, pressing the palms and the fingers gently together. Inhale, reach back up. Now bring the arms out to a T and swan dive, forward fold. Come to a half lift. Hands either to the ankles or the top of the shins. Spine nice and long. Bring the weight forward into the front of the feet so your heels almost are beginning to float. And then exhale, fold forward and let your head drop down. Now chin on chest, round the spine as you come up. Remember to draw your navel up just like we did before. Once you come all the way up, let your arms float high. Look up and bring the palms together, and then bring them back down to heart center. Again, feeling the fingers touching. Inhale, up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Big, deep breaths if you can. Half lift. Exhale, fold forward. Draw the navel up. Chin stays on chest as you rise. Let your arms float high. And then palms together and to heart center. Inhale, up. This time back. Palms together. Bring the weight into the front of the feet. Look up and then back. Now, forward, fold forward. Forward, forward. I can barely talk. Come to a half lift. Exhale, release the hands to the mat. Arms come out to a T now. Bring the weight back forward into the front of the feet so your heels almost feel like they're floating. Keep pressing into the front of the feet. Keep the heels off the mat a little bit as you rise. Let your arms float high. And then up and back into that back bend again. And then bring the hands back to heart center. Take a breath. And one more. Now reach up and back bend, and swan dive, forward fold, half lift, and exhale, release the hands to the mat. Bring the hands behind you now, interlace your fingers behind your back. Bring the palms so that the skin of the palms touches if you can, and reach your knuckles a little bit higher. Then bring your weight forward in the front of the feet a little bit more and let your head drop down. 2 more breaths here. Breathe into the pose. 1 more. Now press into the front of the feet. The heels are still floating as you rise. And then once you're all the way up, pause. Press the knuckles down towards the heels. Feel the shoulder blades come together. Lift your gaze so that you're looking straight forward. Take a big deep breath. And then release the hands. Just flip the palms so they face forward. Thumbs are pointing apart from one another. And a couple of breaths. 1 more. Bring the hands to heart center now. Leave them there. Keep your spine long. Hinge at the hips. Fold forward. And then bring the hands all the way down to the mat. Keep your right foot forward and step your left foot all the way back into runner's lunge. Now bring the left knee to the mat. Press into the right foot and rise up into a low crescent lunge. Press the hips towards that right heel. Keep your gaze straight forward. Gaze is nice and level. Now bring the hands behind you. Interlace the fingers again. Press the knuckles towards the left heel. Lift your gaze up. Lift your chin. 1 more breath. Slowly release, coming out of the pose. Reach the arms high. And then bring the hands down on either side of the right foot. Tuck the toes and bring the left knee off the mat. Now step the right foot back into plank pose. And we're going to find 3 breaths here. Breathe in deeply. And out completely. And again, a big deep breath. And 1 more big deep breath in plank. And exhale, bring the knees to the mat. Chest and chin are going to follow as we come into a cobra pose. Lift the heart up off the mat. Press the pubic bone down. Your gaze again is straight forward, although obviously lower than it was when we were in a low crescent lunge before. Release down now. Tuck your toes, lift to plank, and then lift your hips into downward facing dog. Take a breath. 2 more, big deep breath. And 1 more. Now walk your hands back towards your feet about 6 inches or so. And if you can, press your heels down towards the mat. You may want to bring your feet a little bit farther apart so they're just slightly more than hip width apart. We're going to do a down dog twist. So keep the weight in the left hand. Pick the right hand up and then right hand back towards the left ankle. Let your head drop down so you're looking under the left armpit. Take a breath. And 1 more. And bring that right hand back to where it was. And then the left hand reaches for the right ankle. Let your head drop down. I almost forgot what that body part was called. So that you're looking under your right armpit. Keep weight in both feet. And 1 more breath. You're doing great. And release that left hand back. And then walk both hands forward into our downward facing dog. And on an inhale, reach your left leg up. And then step the left foot forward so it comes between the hands. Bring the right knee to the mat. Untuck the toes on that right foot. And rise. Low crescent lunge. We've come to our second side. Press the left knee forward. And remember to press the hips towards that left heel. And that'll give you a nice stretch, at least for most of us, at the top of the right leg, in the hip flexor muscles, and also probably in the back of that left leg. Keep your gaze straight forward. One more breath. Now bring the hands behind you and take opposite elbows behind you if you can. A little bit different here. Now on an inhale, lift your chin up. Keep pressing into that left foot. One more breath. And then release the hands. Let them float up high. And then bring them down. Tuck the toes and bring the right knee off the mat. Now, left foot steps back to plank pose. Take a breath. And blow it out. And do that again. A big, deep breath. And let it go. One more time. Big, deep breath. Stay in plank and roll over into a side plank. Right hand stays down, left hand reaches up. If you want, you can bring that left foot forward so you have both feet on the mat, or you can rest your left foot on your right foot. You can reach your right hand forward if you want. You can pick that left hand forward. You can pick the left foot up, or you can just stay where you were. Take another breath. And then bring the left hand down. Back to plank pose. Take a breath here. And then roll over into side plank on our second side, reaching the right hand high. And either foot or arm variations if you want to. Just something to play with. Breathing into the side plank. And then release. Back to plank pose. One breath. On the exhale, bring the knees to the mat. Chest and chin follow, and we come into another cobra pose. Here, lift the heart up. Then press it forward, deepening the back bend, and then release all the way down. Tuck your toes now as you lift to plank, and then the hips come into downward facing dog, stretching it out. 2 more breaths in downward dog. And one more. You're doing great. Walk the hands back about 6 inches again. So we're shortening that downward facing dog. And we're going to do that down dog twist a second time. Bring your feet a little bit farther apart. And then bring the right hand to the left ankle. Kind of the back of that left ankle works pretty nicely for most of us. Let your head drop down. Take a breath. Keep pressing that left hand into the mat. Arm nice and straight if you can. Then release. And left hand comes to right ankle. The head just drops down. Notice where you're feeling the stretch in the pose. And final breath. Then come out. Walk the hands back to downward dog. Stretch it out. And then slowly begin to walk the feet forward towards the hands. And we're going to come eventually to a standing forward fold. The pose is called Uttanasana. Standing forward fold at the front of the mat. Let your head drop down. Feet right about hip width apart. Let your head get even a little bit heavier. And if you want, you can bring your hands to the back of the heels or the back of the ankles and kind of hug your elbows into the back of the knees. Then bring the weight forward a little bit more. Now the arms come out to a T. Keep your spine long as you rise. Feel that in the glutes and the low back. Reach up high. And exhale, bringing the hands to heart center. Good job. 2 breaths. Big, deep, full breaths. And one more. Now bring the arms out to a T and swan dive to a forward fold. Come to a half lift. And exhale, release the hands to the mat. Keep the right foot on the mat, right where it is, and step the left foot back into runner's lunge. You may want to heel toe that right foot over to the right a little bit. We're going to come up to a high crescent lunge, pressing into the right foot, reaching up high. Right knee still nice and bent, pressing back on the left heel, left leg is straight. Now bring your arms out to a T, palms face forward at this point, reach the hands apart from one another. Now take a twist and stay up, so don't come down to the knee. Palms face to the right, and then back to center. Reach up high, and then bring your hands to heart center. And now bring the left knee down to the mat to a low crescent lunge. Reach the arms high, and then out to a T. Take a twist to the right and bring the elbow to the knee, joining the palms together. Reach the right elbow up. Take a breath. Reach the right arm back. Left arm reaches forward, palms face to the right. Press into the right foot as you come back to center. Reach up high. And then exhale the hands down. Tuck the toes as the left knee comes off the mat. Right foot steps back to plank pose. Take a breath. On the exhale, flow through a vinyasa into upward facing dog. And then when you're ready, downward facing dog. Stretch it out now. Press the heels down towards the mat. Can you feel that in the back of the legs? Do you feel that little tension in your Achilles tendons? Now the tendons don't really stretch very much, but you can still feel the tension that the pose creates. On an inhale, let your left leg rise, and then step it forward. So it comes between the hands, and we come to a nice long runner's lunge. If you like, heel toe the left foot over the left a little bit, and then rise to a high crescent lunge. Arms reach high. Now out to a T, palms face forward. Take a breath, and then twist to your left. Now I'm facing you, or facing the camera anyway. And then back to center. Reach up high, and then bring your hands to heart center. Bring the right knee to the mat. Arms reach back up and out to a T. Take a twist and bring the elbow to the knee, joining the palms together over that right elbow. Lift the left elbow high. Take a breath. Release the left hand back. The right hand reaches forward. Back to center. Reach up high. And the hands come down on either side of the left foot. Tuck the toes and bring your right knee off the mat. Take a breath now. Press back on the right heel. And then step the left foot back to plank pose and flow through your vinyasa, upward facing dog. When you're ready, a downward facing dog. Stretch it out. You can let your hips move a little bit side to side if that feels good. Notice what that does in the back of the legs as you move the hips from one side to the other. Now on an inhale, reach your right leg up, and let's find three-legged dog, opening the hips to the right, working on stacking the right hip over the left hip, and relaxing that right foot. Now level the hips, and right foot steps forward, so it comes between the hands, and bring the right hand to the inside of that right foot, so both hands are inside the right foot. Then release your left knee down, and come down to the elbows. You know this pose. This is lizard pose. Let your hips drop down. Notice my hips are settling down towards the mat. And then once the hips have settled, if you want to, hug that right knee in tighter to the shoulder, to that right shoulder. Another breath. Let's come out of lizard pose, walking back up onto the hands. And then bring the right hand to the outside of the right foot. Tuck the toes and bring the left knee off the mat. Reach the right leg back up and overhead into our second three-legged dog on this side. Try and keep your shoulders square to the front of the mat. And then level the hips off. And bring the right foot down so it meets the left foot. Glide forward to plank. And then lift your hips back up into downward dog. Do that again. Gliding forward to plank. Using the core. Lifting the hips high. One more time. Gliding forward and lifting the hips high. Now inhale, reach the right leg up and find three-legged dog on the left side.
Opening the hips to the left, relaxing that left foot. Try and keep your shoulders nice and square. Now level the hips, and the left foot steps forward so it comes between the hands. Release the right knee to the mat and untuck the toes. Move the left hand to the inside of the left foot, and then lizard pose on the second side. Take a couple of breaths, and with each breath, begin to relax into the pose, letting your hips settle down. So the heart stays about the same level because it's obviously constrained by the by the distance between the elbow and the shoulders. So you can't drop your chest down much, but the hips can drop down a little bit more. And that will deepen the stretch you feel in that left hip. It may also deepen the stretch you feel at the front of the right leg, the hip flexor muscles. Slowly now walk back up onto the hands, and then move that left hand to the outside of the left foot. Bring the right knee off the mat, tucking the toes, and we've got a three-legged dog to do. One more on this side. Lift the left leg up. Right heel presses down. Open the hips. And level the hips. Bring the right foot down. We've come back to downward facing dog. Glide forward to plank and lift the hips high. And again, glide forward to plank, lift the hips high, and glide forward to plank. Now bring the knees to the mat, rise to kneeling, and once you're there, reach your arms up and overhead, and we're going to find a nice deep back bend in Camel Pose. If you like, you can press your hands into your low back, fingers pointing down, pull the elbows towards one another, and keep pressing the hands into the back as you lift your hips. Lift your gaze. Can't really lift your hips here, can you? If you want to move more deeply into the pose, bring the hands to the heels. Press the hips forward. One more breath wherever you are in this pose. Now slowly rise back up. Let your arms float high. And then exhale the hands to heart center. Bring the hands down. Tuck the toes and lift the hips. Downward facing dog. And then bend the knees and take a nice little hop or walk forward so the feet end up between the hands. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Reach the knuckles up towards the sky. With the weight in the front of the feet, slowly come up. And then once you're all the way up, release your hands. Reach them high. Look up to the palms and then bring them back to heart center. Take a breath. And one more. Now bend the knees. Keep the hands together. And we're going to come down to chair pose, but with the hands at heart center. Weight comes back into the heels, you know that. And now left elbow to right knee into a chair twist. And then back to center. And the right elbow to the left knee. Chair twist second side. Back to center. And then bend the knees and come all the way down. Bring the hands behind you. And then once you're there, reach your hands forward. Palms face towards one another. And then pick the feet up so that the shins, I'll move my hands so you can see, so the shins are parallel to the mat. And then if you like, straighten the legs into boat pose. Take a breath. Big deep breath and a big exhale. Do it again. Big deep breath. And let it go. Do it one more time. Big deep breath. And on the exhale, roll all the way down onto your back into legs up the wall. Press the heels towards the sky. Relax the back of the shoulders. Let the back of the arms, the triceps, come down towards the mat. One more breath. Now happy baby pose. Hands to the pinky toe side of the feet. Allow yourself now to surrender into this pose. So try not to force it. And what I mean by that, I know that I say that a lot in poses like this, but what I mean by that is try not to engage any muscles in the pose. So just let your body move naturally into the pose by relaxing instead of forcing.
One more breath. Release the hands now from the feet and reach the heels back to the sky. Legs up the wall pose. Press through the heels. Try and pull your tailbone down towards the mat so that you're at least pressing into the sacrum. You can stay here if you want, or you can move into plow pose. If you're moving into plow, the feet are going to come up and overhead and maybe touch down on the floor behind you. If you're in plow, you can bring your hands to your low back and lift your feet up into shoulder stand. If you were in legs up the wall and you want to move to shoulder stand, feel free to do that. You may want a half shoulder stand that would kind of look like this, or a three-quarter shoulder stand. I can't talk today. That would look more like this. Or you can be all the way up with the feet over the hips and the hips over the shoulders. If you got here from plow, go back to plow now. And then release the hands from the back. And everyone, let's meet in legs up the wall pose. Bring your arms out to a T now. Keep reaching the right leg up. Press through the right heel. Keep the left leg straight, but let the left heel float down to the mat. You can point the toes on the left foot now if you want. Once that left heel lands, see, I really can't talk today. Point the toes on the right foot so the toes reach to the sky. Scoot your hips over to the right a little bit and let that right leg come all the way over to the left, and maybe you can get a hold of the big toe on that right foot with your left hand. Let your gaze move to the right. 3 breaths now. Surrendering into the pose, trying to let go of muscular engagement. And 1 more breath. Now let that right foot come all the way back up. And once the right hip lands, scoot your hips over to the left a bit, and then swap out the legs. Try and keep the legs straight as you do that. Now point through the toes of the right foot, and then point the toes of the left foot up to the sky, and then bring that left leg all the way over to the right, and let it land. And if you like, you could get a hold of the big toe on that left foot with your right hand. Now 3 big deep breaths. Let it all start to slow down a bit. One more breath. Now let that left leg come all the way back up. Center your hips on your mat, and then hug your knees into your chest. Hug them in really tight. And then bring your forehead towards your knees, rounding your spine. And then release the feet to the sky, legs up the wall pose one last time. Press the tailbone and the sacrum down. Straighten the legs as much as you can. Now bend the knees. The heels come down towards your glutes, arms out to a T. And let your knees float to the left. And then bring them back to center and over to the right. And back to center and to the left. And back to center and over to the right. And 1 more time, to the left and to the right. And then back to center and hug your knees in one last time. And then rock and roll forward and back very gently, very slowly, very methodically. And eventually, rock yourself into a seat. And once you're seated, find a nice cross-legged posture. Bring your hands to the knees with the palms facing down. Take a big deep breath. Relax the shoulders. Do that again, a big deep breath. Now twist to the right. Left hand comes to right knee. Right hand comes down behind. Draw the navel in and then off to the right. So you're pressing the navel towards the back of your space. Draw the navel in a little more. And then let it go. And over to the other side for our final pose. Draw the navel in and then off to the left. And again, draw the navel in. And then towards the back of your space. And then slowly let it go. Come back to center. Bring your hands to heart center. Let's just let 3 breaths flow through your body. Feel the breath washing over you. Recognizing that your yoga practice is now coming to an end. Notice the transition. And now join me, if you like, in offering loving kindness. May you be happy and well, and may you be safe. May you be peaceful, and may you be at ease. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for our 45-minute Vinyasa practice. Take care.